Hi everyone, today we're going to be speaking English because one of my students is having a problem and I thought it could be a good opportunity for us to debug this together. So let's go and see it. So we are on the fifth project here. So the user has a little issue. So let's say we're on the home screen. So we have all of the different sofas that we want to buy. So let's say I take the green one here and then I go to my cart. Sorry, there it is. Yeah, so I'll add it in green and I'll take one of them and I'll add it to the cart. So now if I go to my cart here, I should be able to see, yeah, all of the different sofas that I have already added to my cart. Now, here's the issue. As you can see, the delete button doesn't work for all of them. So when I click delete here, nothing happens. Here, nothing happens. Here, nothing happens. But on the last one, something happens. So far the delete only logs the sofa, the HTML element where it's being displayed. So you see, this is what happens. But this delete function does not appear here. So we're going to debug this, and I have absolutely no idea what the problem is. I've been thinking about this already for a while, and I have no idea. So let's look at this together. So first thing I would like to do is debug, the HTML. What happens if I have this? You see, so this is my article. So the articles have been added pretty well here. It seems to me that the structure is good. We have an article, a div. Wait, sorry, where is it? Yep, okay, it's fine. The div is here. We have, okay, it's been opened. We have an opening tag, closing tag as well. Everything looks good to me. So it seems to me that this is fine. Okay, and this is fine, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Okay, so here's the issue. So this is what the cart page does. So first it generates a cart by retrieving data from the local storage. So I'm going to control click here and show you. So the create cart function creates an empty cart. It loops on the local storage. For each key in the local storage, it goes and gets the item here and then pushes it inside the cart. And then it returns the cart. So if I log here this cart, I should be able to see it well. So let's do this. I'm going to go in the console here, and you see my cart is here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have the cart here all right. So far so good. So then my student created a lot of variables here. By the way, I really don't like these lets everywhere because I think it should be const every time unless you really need a let. And then she called the function show items in page. And the show items in page loops on the cart. And then for each item, so she goes and get the element cart items. And then she does an inner HTML. She adds something to the inner HTML. She adds an article to the inner HTML. So this is the cart items. Where is it? I think it's here. Nope, there it is. Yeah, so it's the section here. There it is. And she decided to take this cart items and add some inner HTML on it. So this plus equal is then a concatenation when you have a string. So create article returns a string. Okay, article class sofa blah blah blah. And then what we do is, sorry, and then while she's looping, so for each item, she said the current article will be, so after she added the inner HTML, she added HTML to the page, she goes and she retrieves this current article on the HTML page. So she looks for the item that has a data ID which is the same as the current ID. I mean, she's looking, you see, if you look at here, for each item, you have a data ID with an ID here, and you have data color here with the color. So what she's doing is she's looking for she is looking for an item which has this data ID and data color. So if I wanted to retrieve, for example, this article, I could just go in my console here and do document.query selector. And so, yeah, sorry. See, this is the ID. And I know that this ID is inside a data ID tag here, attribute here. So I could say I'm looking for the article which has a data ID of this. And I should be able to get it. Nope. Data ID. Okay, data ID equals. Okay, so we're having an issue already. Oh yeah, that's because I wrote this here. Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Now we have it. Okay, so this is what she does. So then she retrieves this article, and then inside this article, she looks for she makes a query selector on the delete item. So let's try this. So this is what we have, and now let's add the query selector delete item. Okay, so we have it here. That's fine. Okay, and then she adds an event listener, which is going to log something. So if I do this, dot add event listener on the click, just console log the event. Let's do this. So now if I click this, okay, this works. But yeah, this doesn't. This doesn't. Okay. So what is weird is if I reload the page here, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work, this works. So that's super weird. When you have an issue like this, sometimes the best way is just to keep things very, very simple. So you just try to recreate this problem from scratch. So you know what I'm going to do? This cart.html is using this file called cart.js. What I want to do is I'm going to do everything from scratch and see when the problem appears. So I'm going to create another script here, and instead, yeah, I'll call it js slash test.js this way. And so, yeah, cart.js is not going to be applied now. We're only going to use test.js. Let's create it. There we go. So I'm going to get some code here. So let's use this function here. Yeah, so we have a function create cart, so that's fine. Yeah, let's close this. So we have this function create cart. Okay, let's do const cart equals create cart. Okay, and then let's console log it, and let's see if it works. So let's reload the page. Okay, I have 4 items in my cart. So far, so good. Okay, what do I want to do? Well, I want to, for each of these carts, for each of these sofas, I want to create an article. Okay, so the same way she did. So, for each item, okay, cart items dot inner HTML plus equals, okay, article. Okay. So first of all, let's try to retrieve this. Okay. Then she called a function called show items in page. Okay. I don't really like I mean, she's looping several times. I don't really like it, but okay. Show items in page. Okay. And let's define our function here. Show items in page. What does she do there? So here she loops on the cart length and okay. She does a cart items plus equal create article. So first of all, I'm not going to loop. Okay. We're going to loop a bit later. Let's copy this line. Let cart items. Okay. Let cart items equal document get element by ID cart items. And then let's do that. Cart items dot inner HTML is going to be cart items. So this should work so far. Okay. There we have it. Okay. Now what do we want to do? Um, okay. Then for, okay, let's create an article. Oh, and then she goes and she gets the article that she created. So maybe the article that we created, okay, maybe let's create an article. So the article, what was it? It was something huge like that, you see? My create article function is going to be way shorter because we're just testing. So let's have a function create article, and let's say that it's going to take an item, and you maybe, okay, it's going to take an item, but it's not going to use it. Let's just return uh, just an article like that. And what do we want inside? We just want, yeah, a div, okay, class cart item. Oh, and we want the data ID to be the item ID and the data colors to be item.selected color. Oh yeah, because yeah, all her sofas, all the items in her cart, if you log them, you're gonna see, yeah, wait, I'm going to log the cart. And so now if you look at the cart here, you're gonna see that every item here has an ID there and also a selected color. So we're going to create articles. So yeah, we're going to create a div that has a class cart item, a data ID of item ID, and a data color of item selected color. Okay. And inside we're just going to call it yeah, let's put just item dot uh, alt text colors description name. Okay, let's put the name. Okay, name. Let's do that. And what are we going to do with this create article? Oh yeah, so we're going to say cart items dot innerHTML equals, okay, create article, and oh, we need to pass an item. Okay, let's take the first item of the cart this way. Okay, so this works. Okay. How about now? Okay, so this is fine. Then she decided to retrieve the article. So she did blah 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 blah. What did she do? So she created an article, and then let's forget this delete button. We don't need it so far. And then she created an event listener on our item. Okay, let's do that. Create article. Okay, so she went to retrieve the thing that she just created. So let's do const article equals document dot query selector, and we're going to look for the article that has a data ID that is equal exactly to wait, I'm going to put this like that, which is going to be equal to cart0.id. Okay, what's the problem here? Yeah, this should go away. This goes away. Would this work? Let's log this and see if it works. So, okay, failed to execute article data. Okay. Oh, because I have a double quote here, which is useless. So let's remove the double quote. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, the article is null. Okay, so now we're starting to have something interesting. What if I take, okay, let's look at the cart. Okay, there is something in the cart. If I take cart 0, I get the first item. If I take the ID, I have this 055. Okay. Would I be able to use this document.query selector like this. See, it gives me null, which is weird because if I look at this, I have a data ID here. I have a data ID. Okay, let's see what Chrome does if I ask it to copy the JS selector. I'm gonna go copy JS path and copy it here. Okay, it's not giving me the data ID. Okay, could this be a problem with the wait, if I remove the single quotes maybe? Let me remove the single quotes. Nope. If I put double quotes maybe? Nope, doesn't work. Let's make it a bit simple. Uh, let's just use this 055. Let's hard code it. Paste it here. Nope, doesn't work. What if we remove the article? Ah, okay, now we're good. Okay, so the problem wasn't the data ID. The problem was that I was looking for an article, but this actually is not an article, it's a div. Okay, so my bad. So let's go in the test here, and we're going to look for just article this way. Could this be the problem with her? She was looking for a cart item. Okay, that had the data ID. And let's look at the create article. The create article was class cart item. No, okay, so no, it's not it. Okay, good. So let's reload the page and see what happens. Okay, so it was able to get it, but you see, once again, I'm not able. You see, when I hover it, it should highlight this div, and it doesn't. Interesting. So could this be because of the data ID? I don't know. Let's remove the data ID, and let's, instead of doing query selector data ID, since we only have one, let's just try to find the guy that has a class of cart item. It should be exactly the same result. It's just that I'm just changing the selector. Okay, let's try again. Reload. Yep, you see it still doesn't work. This should be hover. When I hover this, well, the DOM element should get highlighted, which is really weird because now if I do document.query selector.cart item, you see this is what I should get. But here, when I do exactly this document.query selector cart item, it doesn't work. So I would be tempted to believe that we just created the article and it's not really inside the DOM exactly. That's super weird. I'd be tempted to, okay, so I know this is going to be sound really weird, but I'm going to try a set timeout of maybe 3 seconds and put this article here inside the set timeout. So this way, when we do this, we count 1, 2, 3, there it comes. Yep, you see? And when I do a set timeout, then it works. But if I don't do a set timeout, and so it tries to access it straight away, you see, it doesn't work. This is super weird. I've never seen behavior like this. You see, I'm going to put the set timeout again, so it's going to wait for 3 seconds. So now let's reload the page. Wait, I'm going to reload everything. Ready? Nope, not yet. Ready? Top. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, yeah. And there it is. So you see the problem, I think it's not because of a date of the selector or the data ID. I think the problem is because it's not exactly created again. So I don't know how I'm going to look for this. I would be tempted to look for inner HTML lag, maybe, because it lags uh, before creating something. And I just found something interesting. So, granted, it's a bit old. You see, it's 9 years old. It's almost 10 years old. But still, I find this article saying why is inner HTML plus equal bad code. And I have something interesting here. Uh, they say inner HTML plus equal string is a very bad idea. The typical browser has to rebuild DOM answer, blah, blah. So first, the browser needs to go through each element under your element, each of their properties, all their text and comments and process nodes, and escape them to build you a string. Then you have a long string which you append to. You set inner HTML, it has to remove all the elements, properties, and nodes it just went through. Then it parses the string built from all the elements, properties, and nodes. Finally, attach the new nodes. It requires a layout. Old nodes would have their layout properties cached. Ah, it has to lay out the whole thing. Hmm. So what I understand is, okay, what I understand is when you call inner HTML, there must be a layout. Mhm. The browser has to create a new layout for the page to re-render it. Because my question was, you see, what I strange for me is that JavaScript is a synchronous language. Synchronous language means that it only does one thing at a time. So even if line 7 takes a lot of time, even if inner HTML takes a lot of time, it should never go to the next line without, I mean, if it's not finished, it's not going to go to the next line. So usually if you go to line 8, it means that line 7 has finished running already. This is what a synchronous language is. However, JavaScript is a synchronous language, but the browser itself is not synchronous. This inner HTML, this is not synchronous. This is an API of your browser. If you look for inner HTML, you're going to see that this is not JavaScript. Inner HTML, as you can see, this is a web API here. You see, web API means it's not JavaScript, it's an API. It's a function that belongs to your browser. So I think mm, if we look at inner HTML, it's probably it's probably not synchronous. I'm still on the inner HTML web page here, and I have something interesting here. You see, inner HTML is really bad. If your project undergoes any form of security review, using inner HTML will likely result in your code being rejected. For example, if you use inner HTML in a browser extension and submit the extension to addons.mozilla.org, it will be rejected in the review. So yeah, avoid inner HTML. The way I see it, inner HTML isn't the way to go. But I would like to see, is inner HTML synchronous? Okay, someone already asked this question. Let's see what it says. Okay, setting inner HTML is synchronous as are most changes you can make to the DOM. Okay, so that's good. However, rendering the web page is a different story. Remember, DOM stands for Document Object Model. It's just a model or representation of data. What the user sees on their screen is a picture of how the model should look. So changing the model doesn't instantaneously change the picture. It takes some time to update. So I think this is the problem, you see? When we created something, with the inner HTML updated the DOM, but the DOM uh, didn't render. See, so the DOM was we changed the DOM, but the DOM wasn't rendered, so the page was still in the previous state. Running JavaScript and rendering the web page actually happen separately. Okay. To put it simplistically, first all the JavaScript on the page runs from the event loop, and then after the browser renders any change to the web page for the user to see. This is why blocking is such a big deal. Running computationally intensive code prevents the browser from getting past the run.js step and into the render the page step, causing the page to freeze or stutter. Okay, so we have JavaScript, then style, then layout, then paid, then composite. So what we did in JavaScript was to change the inner HTML. So when we did that, I guess then the style got changed, the layout got changed, and then we were waiting for the paint to happen. And my understanding is that yes, JavaScript is synchronous. Yes, that's for sure. But then everything that is not JavaScript, that is not yellow, so the style, the layout, the paint, and the composite, this is the browser. And the browser itself um, may take a while to render the page based on the JavaScript. Blah, blah, blah. Does my code? The answer no, blah, blah, blah. It is synchronous. Okay. Yeah, you see, here's another one. The inner HTML property actually does get updated synchronously. That's what I was saying. But the visual redraw that this change causes happens asynchronously. Okay. The visual rendering, okay. The DOM is asynchronous in Chrome and will not happen until after the current JavaScript function stack has cleared and the browser is free to accept a new event. Okay. If you delay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So what can we do with this? Well, one solution is to put a set timeout, which is really bad. Really bad. You should never do this. Um, Another solution, they insisted that inner HTML was a bad method to use. So maybe you should not use inner HTML. Why don't we do this? Here we have the cart items. And so first of all, I'm going to remove the set timeout here because we don't need it. So instead of using inner HTML, maybe we should do something like append child. And what should we pass? Well, we should pass this. Oh, wait. Sorry. What does append child take? I think it takes a node, but this article here is not a node. You see, it's a string. So if you want to create an article, yeah, you would do it this way. Const article equals document dot create element article. And then you know what? I would avoid inner HTML altogether. So maybe I would say article dot class name. No, I think it's class list dot add. So let's add the cart item. Yep, there we go, cart item. Then we would like to add the data ID. So I think it's article dot dataset dot I don't know. Let me see. HTML data set. I forgot how you add a data set in JavaScript. Let me see. No, JS add data set. There we go. So if you want to set a data set, okay, you do l.id equals l.dataset.id dataset.user. Okay, so you don't type data again. And oh yeah, and as they said, if you look at here, they say be careful, camel case to dash style conversion. A restriction before transformation, a dash must not be followed by an ASCII lowercase, add the data prefix, blah blah blah. Okay, I'll let you read this, but basically if you have data ID, it becomes only ID in JavaScript. So let's do that. Article dataset.id equals item.id and article.dataset.color equals item.selectedColor. And we want also the inner text of the article to be item name. Oh, is it going to be inner HTML? I don't like. Well, they said to avoid it. Uh, maybe inner. Let's try inner text. I think they have one here. Let's try inner text equals item.name. Okay, and then instead of returning the string, let's return the article. Okay. Sorry, let's comment this. And okay, let's do const article equals create article. So yeah, we're gonna remove this. Okay, so sorry, I'm just going to comment this. Okay, so we're just creating an article and let's log it. Let's see if we have it. So let's go there. Let's erase everything. Okay, let's reload. Okay, we have articles. They're not showing anywhere on the page because we haven't appended them. We haven't put them inside the DOM yet. However, why do I see it twice? Oh, I have two console logs. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay, let me reload the page. Okay, we have an article here. It's nowhere. That's exactly how it should look. Okay, good. And now, instead of doing cart items inner HTML, let's put this here and let's do append child article. Let's see if this works. Okay, now it seems to me that it works. Okay, and what else? Yeah, let's log it. Let's keep the log here, and let's see if it's linked. So if I put my mouse here, oh, wait, console log article. Uh, oh, wait. Let's just console log the article without the string here. Would this work? Not yet. And it seems to me that we still have the same issue. Let me load this again. I have the article here. Yep, you see it's not linking. Let me do document.query selector cart item. There we have it. But here, this one's linked, this one isn't. So let's check if it was added in the HTML anyway. If I do this, yeah, you see it's here. So this is fine. So maybe it's just a problem with the console. You see, maybe the console tried to display this and it didn't exist in the page yet. So maybe it's just a problem with the console. So it's totally a possibility that it's not a problem. So let's see if I can still work with this. So I have this article here. What happens now if I take this article and I add an event listener on the click, and on the click I want, for example, I want the event to be logged. Would this work? Let's do that. Let's reload the page. Now, what would this work? Yeah, you see, this works. Perfect. So for me, even though I had a little issue here in the initial console, it seems to me that everything is working fine. Now let's try to make it a loop and see what happens when we loop on this now. So we have show items in page, we have const article equals create article, blah, blah, blah. Now let's try to create a for loop here. So let's do for const item of cart, like this. For item of cards, let's do, yeah, instead of item, let's call it maybe sofa. So for each element in the cart, I would like to put all of this inside the loop. So const create an article, which is going to be, so the cart, well, no, it's going to be the element, the current element is the sofa. Okay. On the cart items append child article, And then on the article, add an event listener of a click. Okay, and let's leave the console log so far. Let's do this. Okay, so we have the 4 items here. This click works, this click works, this click works, this click works. Okay, it seems to me that this is fine. So the way I see it, what we had to do was to replace the inner HTML with append child. So let's try to do this with my student's code. We're going to um, go back to this cart.html, and we're going to use the cart.js file now. Let's go there, and we're not going to use this inner HTML again. What we're going to do is we're going to yeah we're going to avoid, so first of all, we're going to remove the inner HTML. And also, I don't like this, you see, because we're doing a query selector on the page, which is maybe a bit too early. So what did she do? So she did let blah 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 show items in page, current article, delete item. So let's look at this create article. Oh, sorry, this. Okay, it's down there. You see, all of this for me, we could create. Yeah, this is a bit complicated, but I would start maybe with hmm, I would try doing this. I would create an article. So maybe const article equals document dot create element article, and then I would do oh yeah, so article dot class list dot add cart item, article dot set attribute data ID. Oh, set attribute. Okay, I was doing data set dot ID. Okay, well maybe this works as well. Article dot set attribute data color equals selected color. Okay, and then set article dot inner HTML is going to be equal to, well, this, and yeah, like this. So this is what I'm doing. I'm creating an article, adding a class, setting the attributes ID and color, and then putting things inside the inner HTML of the article. I know I am using inner HTML, but I'm using inner HTML of something smaller, so hopefully it's going to work. Let's see. Now we have, where is it? Oh my god, this is really messy code. So now we have cart items. Okay, so let's do so. Const article equals create article, and then cart items dot append child article. Would this work? Oh, and let's remove this for the moment. Okay, and let's remove all of this for the moment. Okay, let's reload the page. Failed to execute append child of node. Parameter 1 is not of type node. Okay. Cart items dot, so article is not a node. Oh, it's an HTML element. Funny, why did it work for me? Document dot create element article. How did I do it? Document dot create element article. Okay. Article. Oh yes, I forgot to return. Yeah, okay. I forgot to return the article, of course. So that's why. Good. Okay, let's try this. Okay, this looks good to me. Now, of course, the delete does nothing because we haven't implemented anything yet. So let's go all the way to the top. This is really messy code. Okay, so how are we going to implement the delete function? So do we really need to do a query selector here? Not really, I don't think so, because we already have an article here. So I would just remove this, we don't need it. And I would just say article.addEventListener. Well, when you click on the article, let's just console log. You clicked on the item and then article.dataset.id. It's just an example, okay? So now what happens? If I click here, you clicked on 055. Here, you clicked on A55. Here, you clicked on 771. Here, you clicked on 107. Okay. So it seems to me that this is working. So here, you see the solution was to avoid inner HTML altogether. You see? Um, so what I would do now is I would, oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, the solution was to avoid inner HTML altogether. However, we don't want the add event listener on the article, we want it on the delete item. So we might have to look for the the delete button again. So we might have to look for it in the HTML, which is what I wanted to avoid. You see, all our delete have a class of delete item. So maybe instead of article, I would take document dot query selector um, delete item. It's a class dot add event listener. You know what? I'm going to do it in 2 lines. Const delete button is equal to article dot query selector delete item. Okay, and then delete button dot add event listener. You are deleting the item. Would this work? Does this work? Oops. Why do we only have one? Interesting. Let's reload this. Cannot read properties of null regarding add event listener. Okay. Line 25. Line 25, it does not find delete button. So it means that the delete item, the query selector here returned nothing. Okay. Delete item. Oh, okay. Camel case, this is bad. It should be delete hyphen item, all in lowercase. This is bad practice. So, okay, let's do that. Okay, this looks good to me. Now, moment of truth. What happens if I click delete? You are deleting the item. Okay, 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 okay. Good. So you see, the solution was to use inner HTML, but only for smaller things. You know, we used the inner. So first, for example, for the article, we used document.createElement. Then we added class list, set attributes, and then we changed the inner HTML of the article, and then we appended the article. You see, we appended the article to cart items. And then when we did this, then it was okay. We were able to find the delete item inside the delete button. So yeah, So what can we get from this? Well, avoid inner HTML, only use it on small things, and the rest of the time it's better to use append child. So I hope you learned something from this debug, and yep, we're good to go.